Mr. Radigan, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? So I've got a title for today.
Oh, I love it. What is it?
It's like a remember like Hans Christian Andersen?
Sure.
Like the children's stories?
Yeah, sure.
That's how I look at today's podcast. And so the title of today's podcast is The Smoking of the Toad and the End of Information.
That is so heavy for me. By the way, I'm Tom Sosnoff. He's Dylan Radigan. This is Truth or Skepticism. The smoking of the toad.
The Smoking of the Toad and the End of Information is the title of today's fairy tale.
I need some help. I need some help. What does smoking the toad do? Is that some? I forgot. It's been a long time
what
since
they're doing now, man.
I forgot. It's been a long time since we smoked toads.
I mean, there's a toad crisis. They got a whole shortage that they've become an endangered species because everybody keeps taking the toads and putting them in their little box in their dorm room so they can smoke it. And it's preventing total reproduction in the field. And so it's creating a crisis because they can't have babies because all the toads are isolated in their toad boxes for all the smokers.
I remember when we were kids, and that was probably the last time I ever saw a toad.
But I never smoked a toad or anything that came from a toad in my life.
I want to think that at some point in my life there was a toad smoking.
Really?
I don't think I smoked a toad. That's for sure. But
you were aware of a toad smoker.
Yes, I'm aware of a toad smoking time. I don't remember what year it was.
I have my college. One of my dearest friends recently smoked a toad.
Yeah, I don't have any friends that would
under medical supervision at a hospital in New York as part of a regulated therapeutic event.
I don't have any friends that would even cop to that. My friends are not secure enough.
They wouldn't be like, Tom, I went to NYU, I saw the doctor, and I smoked the toad.
No, if Tony Batista's smoking toads right now, he's not copping to it.
That's not for you to know.
That's not for me to know. Yeah, I don't think he's telling me.
All right. So anyway, so you have your toad smoking, and then you have the end of information as the two pieces of today's fairy tale.
Okay. And the end of information. What is that?
The end of information is a consequence of information overproduction, algorithms, bubbles, information bubbles, et cetera, to the point where the information is so abundant and so available and it's so pervasive that it has lost value and that it's only the utility derived from information or the expertise or that information itself has been devalued.
Okay. All right.
And you might say, well, there's someplace you're going to have, but I don't want to debate with you about it. It's unequivocal.
I just said, okay. All right.
So you have the end of information, which then breeds this sort of, like ChatGPT will do expertise, will do service, will do utility. And that utility is actually the new value proposition for the digital ecosystems of the world, whether it's Web3 driven, whether it's AI driven, whether it's Tasty Works or Tasty Trade brokerage driven, or whether it's Google Maps. And that basically, if you don't provide utility in the digital universe now, having even if you have the best information, it is of little to no value because it doesn't get consumed. And the information that's widely consumed is not trusted by outside of the people that are inside of that audience algorithm, if you will, in the political sphere and all the rest of it. Okay?
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. So the reason the toad smoking is so relevant is because the reason the toad gets smoked is in pursuit of a different perspective, a change in context for the way that one views one's life experience and human relationships and whatever whatever your brain is telling you about your set of relationships and your desires and frustrations and whatever. When one smokes a toad, apparently, as I've been recently told, that the reactivity or focus or attachment to that matrix of information is different, is better in some way, is less painful, is less aggravating, is less sleep depriving, whatever it is. And I would say that the entire world needs to smoke the toad as it relates to information now. That our relationship with all the information in that Walter Cronkite and here's some facts, or whatever the information is, has now expired as a useful paradigm. And that the new paradigm, that the world belongs to those who understand how not to know things, but how to find things out and how to organize processes that lead to value, which is, I think, actually very much aligned with Tasty Trade, actually, when I was thinking about this while I was taking a walk, because you come to the world with the perspective of a man who doesn't know, right? That's been your pitch from day one. I don't know. And so a world without information is kind of good for a gentleman in your situation, because you're like, I don't know, but I know how to make decisions in a world where you don't know. And I would offer that the entire world would benefit from the educational system to down the line, or to teach our children how to find out, not what to know. Have our up through having Coca-Cola, big corporate systems where the executives are trained how to organize systems and find out, not how to know, how to organize boundaries. And I'm interested in how you view that change in context. What do you think what is the opportunity? Because I think there's a huge opportunity for those who can adjust their context, can smoke the figurative toad, if you will, and relate to the information universe in a way that is not attached to the past.
This is a little heavy for me.
How so?
I'll tell you. Because you're asking a question, like I like to be able to at least think that I can support what I'm about to say with some kind of with something more than just because I said it is. I think that what you're really asking is, or I think this is what you're really asking, are the dynamics of decision making and success and strategy, and whatever that means, whether it's personal or whether it's business, whatever. But for the purposes of this podcast, let's say it's business related, or it's capitalistic in nature. What you're asking me is if there's truly access to, if everybody knows everything, then essentially we've created an efficient marketplace where it's not about who knows what's going to happen next. It's about who's capable of making the decision to actually do something. Like it gets down to, I think what you're asking is, it's got to come
like to changing the center of the nucleus of the atom.
Right. So right now, everything we do, everything that everybody's been taught through the history of time is like the reason that there has to be a reason for us to do something. Like, in other words, there has to be a reason for us to go west. There has to be a reason for us to go east. There has to be a reason for us to go.
Reason to go to the dentist.
Reason to go to the dentist. Reason to go to the moon. Whatever it is. Everything needs a reason, and that reason has to be rationalized on something that's directionally, on being right, basically.
Because an expert said so.
An expert said so, or you're the expert. One or the other. I think what you're suggesting, which is really interesting, but it's but it's also, new to me, is like in finance, I can accept the fact that, and I've learned this a long time ago, that we play in an efficient marketplace. And because I've accepted that a long time ago, I think it's really helped me in business, and it's helped me in trading, because I no longer, I know nobody knows. So I can accept the fact that there's a lot of other ways to be successful. I think the rest of the world hasn't reached that point yet when it comes to, just making decisions, thinking about life, thinking about work, all that kind of stuff. And so I think it's a fundamental change to the way we think about everything that we do, that I'm not so sure anybody outside of the trading world's ready for it, or is going to be able to handle it, or let's just say transition to that type of approach.
So you're saying it's heavy for you because you're like, if you're talking about moving the nucleus on this, on how decisions are made, that the world is not ready to think this way, is your concern. That's why you say it's heavy for you.
Yeah. So let me give you the first example that came to my mind. So you're sitting at home and you decide, I want to take a vacation. Okay. And I want to go somewhere where the weather's nice. Now, you don't really know the weather's going to be perfect wherever you go, of course. But you're thinking to yourself, do I go west? You're in Chicago and you're thinking, do I go west? Do I go south? Do I go west all the way to LA or San Diego? Do I go south to Florida or Texas? Or do I go, east to somewhere, I know it's going to be colder, but maybe it'll be nice, to New York or something? And essentially, the decision comes down to, like, we all think that there's a reason. Like, you have to know, no, it's nicer in Florida. No, it's nicer in San Diego. No, it's nicer in Texas. No, it's nicer in New York. Like, the decision ultimately comes down to this completely random choice, which none of us are willing to accept that it's a random choice.
Which is compounded by the fact, psychologically at MIT and a bunch of these places, they've shown that even that human beings' present tense ability to anticipate future emotional satisfaction is non-existent. So even if you do the thing that you think you want and you get the thing that you want, once you have the thing that you think that you thought you wanted, it's brief. So
exactly. And I think that outside of, the only place I've ever seen this before, it would be, in the world of finance, when a certain very small group of people have come to accept that, that finance is pretty random and arbitrary and, that kind of thing. Just because of the sheer size and, occasionally heard sports any given Sunday type thing. But in sports, it's not really the same thing. The worst team's not going to beat the best team, in 7 games type thing. So I think that it's an interesting topic. I don't know how you put any boundaries around it. And I don't know, more importantly, Dylan, I don't know where you're going with it. Like, I don't know what's your point. Like,
I guess my point is that all of the resources that are devoted into the old system are not going to be productive, and that the opportunity for resources in a capitalist system, whether it's an investor in companies that are doing it or whether it's forming a company that does it, that the world belongs to those who can find things out or can teach people to find things out rather than those who know things. And that those who know things has been the anchor of value up to this point.
And how do you convince somebody? And how do you basically convince somebody?
You're going to need big successes from people that are using the new system that seduce people to take the risk to learn it. I think that's the only way that transition happens. But I would say that Tasty is a demonstration of that insofar as it is a business built on the idea of not knowing. Even if it's limited in scope to, financial instruments and futures and options and whatnot. But it's a business that it's at its North Star is not knowing as opposed to knowing. Tasty Trade's pitch is we know how not to know. And we'll help you be good at not knowing.
Yeah.
Right? Which is different than we know. And if you do what we do, you will And I think that the more businesses in the world who say, we're really good at not knowing and we'll help you be good at not knowing, that I think there's a lot of value for the companies in that area.
I do too. But do you know that it was a very short time ago when a young Dylan Ratigan would have never copped to that? Just like you're not copping to smoking toads, there's no chance that you would have ever copped to not knowing.
I wouldn't. I'm afraid of the toad, bro.
Okay,
it scares me.
But you would have never copped
to medical situation.
You would have never copped to not knowing because you were a know-it-all. Like that was your whole shtick. You were
That's incorrect.
You were the king of know-it-alls.
No, incorrect. I know how to ask questions, which is different than being a know-it-all. I'm just a better questioner than most people of business people.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But you.
But I understand what you're getting at, and if you want me to wear the jersey of know-it-all for purposes of your pleasure, I won't deprive you this small joy on a winter's afternoon. But I would argue that my contribution was being a good questioner, good not knower.
That's fair.
But my thing was I don't know. So let's talk. Let's ask.
Yeah, but you would debate any topic as
any topic.
Yeah. So there's
that's know-it-all behavior for sure.
Yeah, that's know-it-all behavior.
Any topic, anytime, any place.
Right. So you were a good question asker, but you were also somebody that would take any topic. No,
and offer something, have something to say.
Yeah, you had an opinion on every topic.
Something to say. I was paid to do so, by the way.
That's why I just still can't understand why you're not in the U.S. Senate.
That's an insult that we're going to let pass because you're having a rough day.
I'm not having a rough day. I'm doing fine.
You are. It's a winter's afternoon, and you're looking to get some pleasure breaking my balls, and I'm willing to.
I'm actually doing fine today. I just it bothers me how you're. It bothers me that with that skill set.
You are. Yeah.
You should be. Yes. But go ahead, keep going. I'm not sure where you're going. I'm not sure. Yes, we agree that this is the future. I'm with you. Do you
think information? In other words, so I would say my last question on this topic is: do you think information is dead? Is information available anymore?
Information is not dead. The ability for someone to take that information and use it as an advantage. So in other words, your ability to digest or facilitate information and take it and use it as a tool for arbitrage or as a tool for, opportunity is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Like the example I'll give here is they used to say 100 years ago, they used to say something like, you remember Earl Weaver, the manager of the Orioles? Mm-hmm. Back whenever you say, "Oh, that guy's got like a sixth sense for knowing that this hitter is gonna," They say the same thing about Ozzie Guillen. He knows he's gonna, punch it, just like bloop it out to right field.
He knows which way it's gonna go. He knows.
Yeah, he knows which way. He's got his guy. He's got his shortstop over second base. He's got his first baseman playing in right field.
The outfield is pulled in.
Yeah, exactly. That guy has a sixth sense, and yeah, in 2023, that's just the probability of X, and that information that whatever that was with Earl Weaver or Ozzie Guillen, whatever those those kind of managers, it's gone. It's over. Doesn't matter. Straight probabilities. There is no hunches. Like hunches are stupid.
I know, but they're human.
Of course, it's human nature. Yeah, I've got it. I understand, but it's still stupid. We know it's stupid. That's what we know now. We know all we know is it's stupid.
The risk of the end of information is that you have the ability of the society to function diminishes because shared information is less, because each individual or constituency or group works from its own basis of information.
Okay, that
right? That's the negative scenario. We were talking to a woman. We recorded a bootstrapping today with a woman who made the point that as the tools of productivity and education get to be the strongest they've ever been, AI or Web3, whatever, those tools are also empowering bad actors more than ever. Right, that the potency of the evil is also, or disorganized or malice is also more powerful than ever.
No, that's wrong. She's wrong. She's wrong. Efficiency does not breed evil. Efficiency.
Oh, but she wasn't saying efficiency breeds evil. She's saying efficiency empowers all actors, including those who are hostile.
No, that's absolutely wrong. It's exactly the opposite. I disagree with that. That actually is, it's a foolish statement because it can't. The whole reason that bad actors exist is because of a lack of information and because of a lack of efficiency and a lack of information. She
was specifically talking about hackers' ability to penetrate infrastructure.
Yeah, it's exactly. It doesn't matter.
Manufacturing, energy, financial services.
It doesn't matter. She's wrong, dead wrong. It's not how it works. The efficiency, the information, and what it does is it actually closes all those loopholes. That's the beauty of it. It's the exact opposite. It doesn't make it easier to hack. It makes it harder because it means that all the people that had flaws in their system, they fix it. It's done. You don't. No, it's actually that's the whole beauty of it.
How can more?
It's impossible to manipulate. It's impossible to manipulate when there's no holes.
But there's always holes. The point is that when you have the best tools in the world, your ability to find any hole is now the most it's ever been, because now I can scan for 1 billion nodes to find the one thing that I can worm in on, because I can use AI, and I could never find the 1 in a billion before, and now I can.
Completely disagree. It's exactly the opposite. That's the beauty of the whole information. She got it backwards. The beauty of the whole information age is that it essentially eliminates the bad actors. It makes the bad actors go straight. I disagree. That's the beauty of information. That's the beauty of technology at a certain level.
Okay, and so I would say this again. I'm not going to represent her because she's not. No,
I understand.
Here,
I don't even know who she is. I don't even know who she is.
There's a depth between your hyper-efficient paradise and the advent of the scanning and AI tools that can exploit the delta between your efficient paradise and the current legacy infrastructure.
It's just time. It's just time. It's the space between getting. It's somebody taking advantage of little tiny breaks in the system between the system getting from point A to point C. While it's passing through B. That's all it is. If you look at the stock market, you can look at a lot of things, and the stock market, their ability to solve crimes now using DNA evidence, the fractional amount of manipulation in listed financial markets compared to what it was, before, because there was no it's just the inability. Look at a perfect example of this would be Russia trying to invade Ukraine with 10 times the firepower, 50 times the firepower of Ukraine. What they didn't realize was they forgot about the efficiency of technology. And you know what? They can't fight something you can't see. So, I completely disagree. It's the exact opposite. That's the beautiful thing about the age of information, is that it may create different problems down the road, but at least for the time being, what it does is it eliminates all the old problems, and of course that will eventually create new problems, but that's a different story.
So we're going to disagree, but I think
you can't disagree with that. I'm sorry.
I do disagree, because the tools are because the fantasy infrastructure you describe doesn't exist. It does. It actually already exists. That's my point. Why are there ransom farms?
Because people play on the fear, like that argument. And I'm not picking on this one person because I don't even know who she is. I don't even know what it is. But that argument I've heard many times, and it's dead freaking wrong, because it's just an easy it's an easy and
You're saying
overly.
it's an easy fear mongering.
That's
to
right.
sell the narrative
Right.
of the ransom farm.
It's right.
As a way to sell your security software.
Right.
This is what
It's for masters of the obvious. Exactly. It's some stupid political game. Oh my God! Every person that's trying to come into America is a drug dealer, a rapist, or a murderer. Yeah, it's the same thing.
And the ransom farms are out there, and they're going to
Exactly.
get you.
And they're going to get you. Yeah, of course. Of course, the whole thing. It's a joke. It's not what happens.
And the ransom farms are more powerful than ever now.
No, please.
Because of AI, because of blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And you believe that?
It has logic.
I don't agree. It's the opposite. It's the dead frickin' opposite.
I mean,
You are too smart for that, Mr. Radigan. I am not buying.
but you are assigning a level of compliance to the infrastructure that's non-existent. I mean, these are
It's a tick away. It's a tick away. I'm not buying.
That tick is 3 years.
Maybe, but it's probably not. Things move so fast. No, I don't. I'm not buying the whole thing. It's a crazy argument, and plus, it's a cheap argument. I don't like it.
Man, you're fully offended by the ransom.
I am.
Ransom farm threat.
I am. I'm fully offended. I hate fearmongers, and I'm fully offended by fearmongers.
By ransom farming. So then I don't want to by transference. I don't want to unfairly impugn this particular individual that I referenced, and I will take it upon myself as the fearmonger here, promoting the ransom farm because she didn't particularly do that.
It's an insecurity. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Right, but she's selling security. They're selling security. I mean, anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
If they were selling security, then it totally makes sense because then that's their whole bit. That's the whole story. Oh, of course. Well, that's the whole story. I didn't even know they were selling security.
Oh, yeah, that's what they do for a living.
Oh, well, obviously, then that's the whole thing. I mean, they're basically, listen, again, I don't know who this person is, but they're basically.
If anything, they run the ransom farm on the side.
If anything, they're the next ones to go out of business. Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty. Like that, you for a good interviewer, you got hooked.
I mean, listen,
she snookered you. You got snowballed. I didn't even know that was their business, and I'm making an argument. No, it's.
I think you're unfairly. Unfairly imputing me and her now.
No, sorry. I'm not. I'm dead right on this one.
We're gonna agree to disagree.
This would be the argument. You're giving me the argument that a New York Stock Exchange specialist would have given in 2000 or 2001.
It's just not true. Even Elon Musk came out and referenced the layers of garbage code in the history of Twitter, and every company has years of past tense code or software as a service or third party whatever.
Elon Musk said it early, and he said it before. That's an old quote. That's like Warren Buffett saying that the derivatives are weapons of mass destruction. That was Elon Musk years ago. I don't like when politicians do that, and I don't like when people debating in a podcast do that and give me an Elon Musk quote from 7 years ago before.
No, that's from the last 12 months.
No. He
just bought Twitter.
I mean, maybe, but that quote's from like 10 years ago.
The quote is, we bought Twitter and the code is a mess.
Oh, yeah.
And it hasn't been touched forever.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's compartmentalized,
yeah.
and it's factionalized,
yeah.
and tribalized.
Right. All that's true, though.
And that creates security risk.
No, that's all true. I thought you were talking about his AI quote.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Talking about the vulnerability.
Yeah.
In the code infrastructure of the semi-modern universe because of that, which is why I am less willing to accept. Listen, long term, sure, you're right. Efficiency wins. At the moment, it's a mess. But it's neither here nor there. This now has become a disagreement simply for the value of the disagreement itself and with no other purpose.
I mean, honestly, the reason Elon Musk bought Twitter was the reason he was able to buy Twitter was because Jack Dorsey and the rest of the Twitter team actually knew what he didn't know. And Jack Dorsey was really smart. And the reason that the Twitter board took his offer without negotiating and made him think that he was doing something, like Elon was screwing around, and he put an offer out there and essentially figured there's no way they're taking their offer. They're going to make me negotiate. They're going to negotiate. They want a higher price. And they took it because they knew how ridiculous it was, and they knew what they had behind the curtain. And so he got picked clean, but he knew he got picked clean before, like the second he did that, he knew he got picked clean. He just messed up. And then he had to try to, talk his way around it. But they knew.
You're saying Jack, but you're almost suggesting that you're drifting up against,
No, I'm not drifting anywhere.
Misrepresentation or
no, I'm not. No, it wasn't you're not misrepresenting anything when somebody makes a hostile bid for you and you take their offer. That's not a misrepresentation. They weren't on the market trying to sell themselves. He made an unsolicited bid and they said sold. That was, that's going to go down as potentially one of the greatest trades ever. By a board. They didn't negotiate. Like, think about the quick, like I hate to, go backwards, but when you think about that in history, you're going to think about all these boards that go, oh, let me think about it. Oh, we've got to research this. We've got to talk about it. He basically made an offer. They said sold, same, like instantaneously. And because they knew they had issues, they knew their expenses were too high. They knew their code was old. They knew they had to refactor everything. They knew they had holes in the system. They knew they couldn't monitor stuff. They picked him clean, but they didn't solicit him, so he had no recourse.
Which is why when he tried to go to Delaware, he didn't stand a chance.
Yeah,
for that
exactly.
moment.
The judge is like, listen, they didn't. You went after them. It's not their fault. So I'm not, then he tried to talk his way around it later on, but I'm not buying into this. Elon screwed up. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all well and good with that. I'm saying it's exemplary of the overall coding infrastructure of a lot of institutions that I think is much weaker than.
I agree with you, but I agree with you, but that's all going to change. That's why the most overpriced industry is this whole, the whole security thing got way whacked out of line. It's not going to be an issue. I mean, there's going to be
over the next 3 years, the security industry collapses as the code refactors. And
well, it's not going to collapse. The reason it won't collapse is because there's always going to be more and more technology now. So with more and more technology comes more and more demand for their products are going to change. But it's just like security, code. It's like anything else. I mean, it didn't disappear. It just got better and cheaper. That's it. But it's not the age of information is not a precursor to that industry, blowing up and going, skyrocketing. I see it quite the opposite. I see it as that industry beginning to contract and being far less important in the overall scheme of things.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to move to a different topic.
I want a different topic. What do you got?
I'm not enough.
Hey, you brought it up. It was your toad information talk.
No, the toad was again a metaphor for recontextualization, which I still think information has become worthless, but that's water under the bridge at this point. Go ahead. You were going to say?
No, nothing. I want to hear the next topic.
The next topic is nothing. Is very simple, which relates to the fact that everybody was wrong about the war with Russia on the 1-year anniversary of that war. The Americans were wrong.
How were we wrong? How were we wrong?
Russia's not isolated, and the ruble has not collapsed, and the economy has not collapsed. Europe has not collapsed. The Germans have not collapsed. All of the predictions of collapse on either side, whether it's through the winter, through fuel prices, through the currency, whatever, didn't happen in the first year.
First of all, I would say, I would again disagree. Russia is a house of cards, meaning that they are surviving on pure smoke and mirrors. If you talk to anybody, that still lives in, I only talk to people in St. Petersburg. But when you talk to people in St. Petersburg in Russia, there has been the most incredible brain drain. Everybody's gone. Like all the talented people, they're gone. And the future of Russia has been set back by probably 3 or 4 decades. And not only have the adults gone, the smart, the intellectual elite, their kids are gone too. Because nobody wants their kids drafted and things like that. So all the kids are gone. And, and they live now throughout Europe and throughout the rest of the world, and some are in the US, but most are, somewhere in Europe. But you are going to see a shift over the next, Russia's going to play second fiddle to Georgia. They're going to play second fiddle to Estonia. They're going to play second fiddle to Finland. They're going to be so far behind the curve over the next couple of decades. They are a pure smoke and mirrors. They have nothing left. They've been gutted from the inside. It's just a joke.
For India alone makes everything you're saying wrong. India, China, Dubai.
Okay, you can think whatever. They're
the
going.
The entire Arab world, all of India and China and Russia have synced up in a way that deliberately attempts to seek both multipolarity and stability, which
I disagree. Russia's
you're saying that hasn't happened?
I'm not saying it has or hasn't. The only way Russia can recover and will recover is if somehow they end this conflict and then they figure out how to get the US to help them rebuild. Because they're going to have to. They're not going to be able to do it. India does not give up any money. China does not give up. These are places that don't give up any money. Okay? The only place you can get money is the U.S. Like, you can try going to other places. Nobody else is giving them any money unless the U.S. says, hey, here's some money.
The Indians are giving them money.
It's
the Indians
crap.
are buying all their oil.
That's it. They're buying their oil. They're not giving them any money. Indians don't part with money. Not how India works.
I don't think you can say that, man.
I'm saying they don't. It's not their. It's not the nature of their the culture there. Government wise,
culture is not a government that gives aid as foreign policy,
especially not to Russia, and especially not the amount of money that they need. That's right. And it's the right thing. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I understand.
But India has a lot of their own problems. I don't think they need, they got to deal with their own stuff. If I lived in India right now,
I believe India, China, Russia have realized that they need to be more Canada, US, Mexico in their dreams, perhaps, but just by proximity, population, and resources.
Well, I think India, that's been their game plan for a long time. I think China tried to do something different and they messed up. And now I think China is getting back onto that path. And I think Russia, Russia will. I just think the problem in Russia right now is that they don't know what to do because Putin is a nutcase and he's basically, dead man walking. And so it's very difficult when you're being controlled by a dead man walking. It's hard.
But regardless of your opinion of Putin's viability, Russia is aligning and is aligned to its benefit, at least in far as currency and social stability, with India and China over the last year in a way that is the biggest global restructuring, certainly since 1989.
I don't care. It doesn't mean anything.
I don't mean that.
It doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. It's just the two biggest populations on Earth, again, with the largest resource reserve in the world.
I just want to see. I want to walk down a street in Russia someday and
working with the Dubai and the Arab world.
Yeah, I want to see one person from India and one person from China walking down the streets in Russia someday. It'll never happen. Like nobody from those countries have ever visited the other country. Okay, it's never going to happen. It's like that's the biggest. It's the biggest scam. It's the biggest kind of just it's just good. It just makes for good theater. The optics are interesting. It's never going to happen.
It's good economics. It's the money is doing it, or it's the money drives the behavior.
No, you're reading too much.
Money and survival. I don't need an Indian man walking.
You're reading. You're in a dream world. You know,
I don't need an Indian man with a Chinese wife walking on Red Square in order for this to have relevance. I'm
just saying, you're making this into more than it's nothing. It's never going to happen.
All right.
India would be out of their mind to do anything with, to turn their back on the U.S. to do something with Russia. It'd be the dumbest move ever. Never going to happen, ever. And China, pretty much the same thing. I mean, it's not going to happen.
We'll see. We shall see. I have a different perspective.
Okay.
And I will retain that perspective ongoing.
Okay.
And
you're entitled.
And so I shall. And so I shall. I believe we've run our clock, sir.
We have. Let's see. Oh yeah, sure. I'm Tom Sosnoff. He's Dylan Radigan. This is Truth or Skepticism. That was fun today, Dylan. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Central Time. I'm not even sure how to title this topic today.
Smoking of the toad in the end of information.
There you go. See you next Wednesday, Dylan. Bye.